Ben, here we are. What day is this?
Yes. I think day 19.
Day
We've
19,
made it
and
this
we are
far.
in Mark chapter 9.
Yeah.
And this is kind of, I feel bad for the disciples in the book of Mark. At
Oh,
this point in
okay.
time, I feel like maybe Mark's whole thing is like the disciples keep missing it. They keep missing it. They keep missing it.
Right. Showing how they're
This is
just
one of
not
those,
quite getting what Jesus is saying.
yeah, and this is one of those sort of like foot in your mouth moments, as it
Mhm.
were. Why don't you read the text and then we'll figure it out?
That was good. Mark 9:33 to 37, I think we're in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
And they came to Capernaum. And when he was in the house, he asked them, "What were you discussing on the way?" But they kept silent, for on the way they had argued with one another about who was the greatest.
Okay,
And he
pause for a
said,
second.
"Yeah,
I love this. So Jesus like overheard them, I guess, or maybe prophetic intuition knew what they're talking about. It says,
right.
"Hey, what were you guys talking about on the way?" And they're like, "Oh, nothing."
Yeah,
They're like, "No, we weren't talking about anything," because they knew it wasn't the right thing to be
yes."
talking about.
That's one of those moments you avoid eye contact, right? You kind of
Yeah.
like, "Oh, don't call on me. Like, just ask somebody else." And so they kept silent because they had been arguing about who is the greatest. And then it says, and he sat down and called the 12. And he said to them, "If anyone would be first, he must be the last of all and servant of all." And he took a child and put him in the midst of them. And taking him in his arms, he said to them, "Whoever receives one such child in my name receives me. And whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me."
So interesting. So this is something I know for sure, that a child in this culture is seen as like powerless. Like there's
Mhm.
obviously like
No
family
status.
affection, but zero status, nothing to bring to the table. So when he brings the child in,
Mhm.
he's saying like, this is the least of these. The child can do nothing for you, can't buy you anything, can't get you any status. And then Jesus is saying, when you serve someone like this, the lowest in the room, you're actually serving me. And this is this whole idea of the upside down kingdom.
And I think we've already talked about it a little bit along the way here. But for me, when I've started to see, oh, they were expecting a Messiah to come and establish a physical kingdom, probably by
Right.
violence against the Roman government. Once you start to realize that, you start to understand a little bit more about what they're going through and feeling. So when it says they're arguing about who is the greatest, they were literally saying, "Oh, we're going to be in charge. Like Jesus is going
Yeah.
to be he's the Christ, so he's going to be the one in charge." So I wonder where we'll fit in the hierarchy.
Right. Because we're friends with the guy who's got the power.
Hmm.
And they're right about the fact that they're friends with the guy who's got the power, but they're wrong about what the guy with the power is going to do with the power.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
what Jesus keeps showing us in all the gospels, and as we approach, we're in Holy Week as we approach Good Friday. Today's Good Friday. Oh my
Oh, yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. This
Because
is the
we're
video
filming
for
on
Good Friday.
Thursday. We're filming
Yeah.
on Thursday, but this will be released on Good Friday. And today we remember that the most powerful person in the universe gave his life as a ransom for everyone. He took the lowest position, the position of a criminal, the position of someone that was powerless, and became like by giving his life on the cross. And this is the upside down kingdom that what do you do with power in the kingdom of God? Well, Jesus models that you give it away that others may have life. And he's saying, you guys are missing it here. You're missing the way of my kingdom. That what we do in our kingdom, how we live in the kingdom of God, is we give away our power. We use it to advocate for those who
Yeah.
are the least of these. And it's very
Yeah,
beautiful.
you become a servant of all. As you were saying that, it was almost, you were using words that reminded me of in Philippians 2, I think it is, where it says, "He who was like God, or who was God, he came and he didn't consider equality with God something to be held onto or taken advantage of,
Yeah.
but he made himself as a human and taking on the form of a servant."
Yeah.
And our friend Daryl, he always talks about, when he preaches that and teaches that, he talks about how this is the very nature of God, to serve,
Mm,
to give himself away. That when God came as Jesus, he came as a servant. He wasn't pretending to be the servant. He came as to serve and seek and save the lost. And then
yeah.
that's what we're invited to.
Yeah. And what I love about that is he says, this is essentially what he says to disciples. When you serve those who don't have anything to give you, when you serve those who can't get you ahead, when you go out of your way to love those who can give nothing in return, when you do that, you're loving Jesus. And when you're loving Jesus, you're loving God. That's the whole argument at the end there. And he says,
Mm-hmm.
so if you want to serve God with your whole heart, if you want to jump in on this new kingdom vision that's invading the world, do it by relinquishing your addiction to try to become powerful or well connected, and give your life to the least of these. And on the other side of that kind of life, you'll find freedom and hope and healing. And the good news of the gospel is, even when we don't do that, he did that supremely.
Mm-hmm.
He gave his power to liberate us, because if it was up to me to like love the least of these enough so that I would earn my way in the kingdom, well, I would never, because that's,
Yeah.
I still get it wrong. I'm like the disciples, I get it backwards. But because Jesus gave himself and gave up all of his power to give his life to pay that my debt of sin, to overcome sin and death and devil, I'm invited into this kingdom, his spirit into my life, and that empowers us to live that way.
And that's what he's inviting us to today and this Easter weekend. So
Yeah.
love you. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for sharing. And thank you really for letting these words sink deep and let him call you to that deeper place. And that's how I'm feeling today. I'm feeling called to that deeper place with him.
Love it. All right. See you guys later.
See ya.